Hi guys and welcome back to TomTalks. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And today we're going to be doing the roundup for the Man United Women in November. Well, basically post international break, which was the Brighton game, I think. Yeah. So it's not been a good month, has it? 2 wins, 2 draws, and a defeat. Yep, the unbeaten record was ended at the end of the month. Well, not the end of the month because it was the international break, but pretty much the end of the month. So let's go into it. We drew 1-1 with Arsenal, which in concept is a good result, but in reality we were very lucky. Arsenal completely dominated the game. They took a deserved lead for Alessia Russo. Defensively, we were decent, but Arsenal did not take their chances at all. And up front, we were quite poor. Manager makes a few subs. Corner, Williams flicks it. Mallard puts it in the net. And yeah, we were very, very lucky to get anything from that game, to be honest. I mean, Williams, Mallard, JC were all good substitutes, but very poor performance. We then follow that up with another poor performance. We drew 0-0 with Villa, who at that point hadn't won a game. Villa probably deserved to win the game overall. We were really poor. We just looked dreadful in that game. It was an absolute bore to watch. We beat Leicester 2-0, which, Lizzie Turden gets a good goal. Bizet was good as well. She got her first United goal. JC again, very good. Pretty well structured defensively, but again, we weren't amazing up front, and defensively we didn't have much to deal with. We beat Everton 2-0 in the League Cup thanks to an own goal and an absolute screamer from Maya Letizia. Again, didn't watch the game because it's very difficult to watch the League Cup matches unless you have MUTV. But, we're pretty much guaranteed to go through to the next round of the League Cup. So that's good because we didn't last year. And in the final game, we lost 1-0 to Chelsea thanks to a penalty. Mallard had a very good chance to get us a point from that game, but hits the crossbar. Judging by the game, Chelsea weren't all over us, but up front, I was noticing similar problems in that we weren't converting chances. We weren't causing too much of a threat outside of a few chances and leaving it to the last minute. And this time it didn't work out. We lost our first game of the season. It's not been a good month. The Arsenal game and the Villa games, we were really poor. I wasn't impressed by us in the Leicester game. And then the Chelsea game, we weren't awful. Chelsea didn't obliterate us like I thought they would, and we were very unlucky not to get a point from that game. But we've not played very well. And I think now the unbeaten run's over, I think it gives us time to sort of reflect and go, we started the season decently, but we've been a bit off the boil since the Brighton game, to be quite honest. We don't look very dangerous in attack. We're a bit better defensively than we were last season. It's why we're getting more clean sheets. And Fallon Tullis-Joyce has been playing quite well. And, Maya Letizia and Millie Turner are good. Jade Riviere, obviously, having her at right back has been helpful. But, in the middle of the park, Grace Clinton has been a bit inconsistent since the start of the season. Ella Toon's obviously injured, but she wasn't playing well. Lisa Nolsland and Dominique Janssen have looked okay, and obviously Nolsland is now out. Simi Awujo has been decent, but not quite at the level. I think in attack, Lizzie Turland hasn't quite got up to standard, to be honest. But she is our best goal threat. Rachel Williams gets brought on last minute and she offers something different, but I think she needs to be coming on a bit earlier in the game. JC has been very good. BZ has been very good for the most part. Mallard, when she's played, has been decent, but I don't know. We're missing something in attack. I think we need to sign another goal scorer because I think, you know, when Lizzie Turthen's not having a good game, I think Rachel Williams hasn't really produced when it comes to that sort of thing. So it's been a bit of a dismal month in terms of games, and hopefully we can turn things around. Hi guys, Tom from the future here, because I am editing this video after the Liverpool game. We won that very convincingly 4-0. I was in particular impressed by Dominique Janssen's performance. Goal and assist was fantastic in the middle of the park. Leah Goulton was very good on her return. I think defensively we were quite solid. Melvin Mallard came on, got a good goal. And, of course, Lizzie Turthen scored as well. It was a good performance. There was points in the game where I was a bit frustrated. And I feel like we don't take our chances as well as I would have liked. I know we won 4-0, but I feel like we can be better. But it was a good result. It was a good performance. But I still have the doubts that I had after the games last month. So while I'm happy with the performance, while I'm happy with the win, we need to be consistent and we need to carry on how we played in that game against Crystal Palace. It's not the end of the world, but we do need to improve. And to be quite honest, I think Mark Skinner's tactics are predominantly to blame. I think the players haven't played at their best, and I've already said a few who haven't been at the levels I expect of them, but his tactics just don't get the job done. He struggles to get the attacking players being lethal, and that's what's cost us in games this season. I think defensively, he's a decent manager, but in attack, he could be better. And some will say, who do we get? And it's a fair point. There isn't anyone that screams out to me at the moment. And maybe that's down to my lack of knowledge on the women's game. Maybe there's like a young manager out there who's proving themselves and is the right way to go. But, yeah. I don't think Skinner's going to get sacked anytime soon. I think he probably will stay till the end of the season, depending on how we do. But I do think United need to look at a new manager. But unfortunately, we now get on to the final bit, which is there has been a lot of talk again about Ineos and also the Glazers, to be fair, not really caring about the women's team. Katie Zellum has come out and said that the women's team was kind of treated like an afterthought. She, of course, left the club this summer. There's that documentary, I think, on ITV that's talking about the women's game, and it's Man United is mentioned in that. And, yeah, I mean, Ineos has had a bit of criticism in terms of the men's team, and I'll talk about that in that video. But, yeah, it does still feel like Ineos sees the women's team as a bit of an afterthought. And a lot of people go, oh, well, the women's team don't make as much money. But, you know, Chelsea is given a lot of prestige and care, the women's team. Man City seems to care. Arsenal, most of the time, do. I know there was that whole thing with asking them to move a Women's Champions League game because Arsenal was playing in the League Cup. You know, same importance there. But the fact that they had to move from their training ground, the comments by Casey Zellum and Irene Guerrero, it's quite telling. And the fact they just gave Skinner a new contract, I think, is also telling. It tells me that they're like, oh, he won a trophy. So, you know. But, yeah, that's a summary of my thoughts on what's happening. Also, solidarity to the women's team, because, unfortunately, the men did not show solidarity with the Rainbow Laces campaign because of the thoughts and views of one player. Homophobia shouldn't be acceptable in football, but unfortunately it is. And one of the things I do like about the women's game is the fact that they are very sort of hit the nail on the issue, and it makes for a more inclusive and a more welcoming game. And also you get that from the fans in the women's game as well. I just thought I'd mention that because I'm quite disappointed in the men's team for the stance they took, and I think it was quite cowardly. And the individual in question who doesn't want to show support for gay people, I mean, you're just a homophobe. Like, you can make any excuses you want, but you are a homophobe. It's pure and simple. And there were a player that I liked as a footballer, but yeah, my thoughts on them have been changed somewhat by this. But yeah, ending the video. Well, it's been a bit of a video of doom and gloom anyway, really. But that is the state of the women's game, the state of Ineos and Glazers towards the women's team, and the state, of course, of football's lack of solidarity. Well, at least in the men's game, at least in the women's game, they're pretty spot on. But that's all, folks. Let me know your thoughts on all these things in the comments. And until next time, this has been another TomTalks.